Welcome to the Building Web3 podcast, where we explore the journey of Misha, CMO of Sweat Economy, who transitioned from scaling blockchain projects to leading Sweat's mission of turning movement into a valuable asset. We'll dive into how Sweat is partnering with Near Protocol to bring chain abstraction and seamless transactions to its users, revolutionizing health and fitness by rewarding physical activity with cryptocurrency. Get ready to learn how you can start earning just by walking around with the future of the movement economy. Remember, nothing stated here is financial advice. Welcome to the Building Web3 podcast. Here with my good friend Misha. He's the CMO of Sweat. Misha, before we get too deep into Sweat, could you give us a brief background into what you were doing before you got to Sweat, and what was your come to crypto moment?
Come to crypto moment. Let's start with that one. First of all, amazing to be here, Zach. Pleasure to share not only my story, but also, of course, the story of Sweat and what we're doing. So I got into crypto and Bitcoin specifically around 2016, 17. Went deep down the rabbit hole. Originally a political economist and communicator in that realm. But prior to Bitcoin's inception, I was already looking into and writing my thesis on the balance between civil liberties and security. So essentially around privacy, ownership, government infringement at Stockholm University. And this is around 2006, and 2009 is the inception of Bitcoin. And I saw an ecosystem and a technology and a currency with a finite supplies that I could really stick my hopes to into being part of building a better future for not just myself, my family, but actually the entire world. Because what happened then was I got involved in several different communities, stretching from Tron to BSC to Ethereum, and went through a lot of amazing products and helped many different wallets, other blockchain products to scale, specifically through simplistic communication and marketing. And prior to me joining Sweat, I was the director in communications or marketing at Clever, with a K, based out of Brazil, but a global ecosystem that I scaled together with the team from around 10,000 users to more than 4 million. So when I was approached by Sweat, the stakes were a bit different. Here it was about scaling from around 10 million users to 1 billion. And that was definitely a challenge that I saw myself fit to. And here I am. Been with the team for about 8 months now. And it's been hell of a ride.
Yeah, well, we love that. Very different experiences. Talk to us a little bit about, if anyone's unfamiliar, what is Sweat Economy? Like, what are you guys hoping to accomplish there?
That's a great question. We see movement, and physical movement specifically, as something intrinsically valuable. And the idea behind the entire ecosystem was born out of the fact that we are becoming increasingly sedentary. We are moving less and less and less each year that passes, especially the last 20, 30 years. And the idea that you should be active and move is not just about your personal health. It's about the fact that you contribute to society on a much, much larger level. You don't just feel good yourself. You make sure that your family actually get to have someone around that is active, energetic, have a better mental health. Your employer or employees are more productive, have less absenteeism or less presenteeism. So you contribute on a commercial level as well, on workplace wellness. But of course, largest and the most significant aspect is the fact that the healthier you are, the less strain on the healthcare system you are. So you actually save a lot of costs for the government itself and for society. So we believe that building an entire economy around movement, what we call, of course, the movement economy, is something that is not just our mission, but it is our duty to be able to build it out. And we've been fortunate enough to have a fantastic Web2 partner and sister app in Sweat that has been around for around 10 years and has more than 164 million downloads and more than 10 million MAU, monthly active users. And Sweat is the fulfillment of the vision of Sweatcoin, and now live on the blockchain since September 2022. So we are about almost 2 years in, and we have accumulated 14 million downloads and currently stand as one of the top dApps in the world with around, depending on the day, between 1.5 to 2 million monthly on-chain active users on Near that actually do an on-chain transaction using Sweat, the token, and between 2.5 and 3 million monthly active users on the app. So quite a lot of scale, fantastic value proposition that movement has value. We reward our users currently and through the very simple idea and universal notion that you can walk into crypto. So every step that you take has a level of reward in terms of minting Sweat. So we have now also gone from what used to be a minting curve of 0 to 5,000 steps is where you mint Sweat, to what we've just been decided by our DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization in the Sweat community, going from 0 to 5,000. Instead, we're going to be from 3,000 to 10,000 steps is actually going to be minting Sweat, because we want to not just encourage people to get off the couch, we actually want them to be more physically active on a sustained level. And this change that actually came about 2 days ago, went live in the app, is actually going to, according to our data, decrease the supply and emissions of Sweat by 30%.
Wow. So maybe I'm not your target market because I sit in a podcasting chair all day just flapping my lips. So I might not qualify for the Sweat coin minting just yet until I find out how to do the walking podcast.
Well, first of all, you got to set up that beautiful studio of yours where you literally just bring out your camera and the right audio to capture yourself as you walk. But the idea that even a morning walk, afternoon walk, an evening stroll, all of this adds up. And what we want to create is healthy habits that is sustained on a daily level. So what we did to push the market and kind of incentivize a shift in the paradigm around the value of movement was that we actually reached out to universities and research institutes around the world at the beginning of this year, and went out with a grant program asking the very simple question: what is the economic value of an active day? And an active day here is, of course, defined as 10,000 steps, which is daily recommended dose. So we asked research institutes and universities around the world to do it on 3 levels. So what's the economic value of an active day for an individual, on the industry, and on the governmental level? And we just received all the final reports from 3 different projects: University of Birmingham, University of Cadiz and Glasgow, and a Hamburg-based think tank or blockchain research lab. And the estimates are widely different, but they're very eye-opening. I cannot reveal, unfortunately, Jax, the actual numbers because they're going to be happening in the middle of September during our site at Token 2029 in Singapore. So if you are visiting Singapore during that time,
we'll be there.
You'll be there? Amazing. So that's when we're going to do a second round and we'll eliminate the results then.
Awesome. So let's talk about, I'm trying to get fit. I'm trying to, tap into Sweat. So walk me through the journey of a new user. Do they download an app? What does it look like from, user getting onboarded into minting Sweat tokens?
That's a great question. So up until today, we've had a onboarding process that is heavily reliant on our Web2 partner, Sweatcoin. The user acquisition and the user journey starts in Sweatcoin or in Sweat Wallet, and then you have to download Sweatcoin. Why? Because Sweatcoin is the movement validator, the step validator, Sweat independently, unbiasedly, making sure that all the steps are counted correctly. So once you come into Sweatcoin, you can opt into crypto. Sweatcoin today is over the past month, the world's most downloaded health and fitness app with 3 million downloads. So there's a ton of users coming in. Why? Because it is an amazing value proposition. We value your movements, and we believe that your movement is abundantly valuable, especially compared to what market sees it as today. So we start the journey usually in Sweatcoin. If the user is interested in crypto directly, can opt into crypto, and then I download the Sweat Wallet app, become a user, and start minting Sweat after 24 hours. And inside the app, you can do a ton of different activities. You can be part of games. You can spin a wheel and win. You can opt into rewards. You can now also do something that we call offers, where essentially you can put up some Sweat and get a discount or an offer from a partner of ours. And of course, you can send, receive, transact, store, all Near tokens, which were built on Near, Sweat specifically. But what we're doing right now is we've been focusing heavily on maturing the app for crypto curious, as you've understood. Currently, we've been talking about getting people from Web 2 into Web 3. This year, we are upping the ante, and we are not just going for the crypto curious and people new to crypto, but we're also going for the crypto natives. And this is a completely different kind of user, very different needs. And this is something that we are satisfying right now through a very, very, very exciting joint venture that we have together with the Near protocol and Yulia Podosukhin, the founder of Near, that we have a strategic partnership with, which is essentially chain abstraction. So what is chain abstraction? Chain abstraction is, in simple words, one account to transact on any chain. Our value proposition going forward this fall is for crypto natives to have one wallet, one key, and one token to pay your gas fees on all chains. But me, myself, have been in crypto for about 7-8 years. Multi-chain has always been a future that we've been dreaming of in the industry, but there's never really been a technology that has simplified the user experience and the user interface. And I think we finally found one. And that is definitely chain signatures, that they call it a Near, to achieve chain abstraction, which is essentially to I think Ilya Podosukhin was also one of the forefathers of AI, because he birthed the beautiful Google. You worked at Google, you might know the attention is all you need white paper, the seminal white paper on transformers. Well, Ilya was not just the founder of Near, he's also one of the authors of this groundbreaking white paper. And what Near and us at Sweat are doing is essentially using our scale to implement very innovative technology. So, exciting times ahead.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about why you guys chose to go with Near, because there's, many other chains out there. There's Arbitrum, there's Solana, there's this, there's that. Why go with Near? Was it specifically this chain abstraction technology?
So it actually started out with the Sweatcoin founders always envisioning that Sweatcoin should go onto the blockchain, become a crypto-driven project. They became wildly successful on their own in Web 2 through an in-app reward system. So the decision was taken, okay, but we have to create a separate entity for regulatory reasons and the fact that it's a more risky venture. A completely different business model. So we create a separate entity in Sweat and Sweat Economy to go into Web3. The options of going on to Ethereum in 2015 led to some meetings with Vitalik. Clearly, that wasn't able to scale in 2015. Definitely can't scale to our microtransaction, the speed of transactions that we need, and of course the scale usage that we have even today. So there were several others, other EVMs that came through. Solana was discussions as well, but Solana is, at least at the time, had a bit of a problem with uptime. Let's say it like that. So what it came about was a meeting between our co-founder and CEO Oleg Fomenko and Ilya Polisukhin in around 2021. And the decision was taken after understanding the sharding mechanism of Near, the massive potential of scalability, and of course the ability to do microtransactions at a fraction of fees compared to other chains. Speed, we're talking about 1 second penalty, and there was really no other choice than Near at the time. And I think that was definitely the right choice to make. And because you can see even today, if you're going to Dapp Radar, most of the top projects in terms of daily active users scale are built on Near because of the properties that Ilya and the team has built out. So those were the considerations, choosing Near. And now that chain abstraction is becoming a reality, it is that something that gives us a lot of power and ammunition to go out into new communities, being able to make what we see a really essential movement economy become universal, not just through Web 2, but also through Web 3.
Absolutely. It makes me think I need to do a lot more Near episodes. So maybe I'll be asking you for some referrals right after this. Let's talk a little bit, because you are the CMO. You are the head of marketing. Talk to us a little bit about how Sweat has kind of onboarded millions of users from Web 2 into Web 3, and kind of like any marketing strategies or campaigns you guys have used to bring about this mass adoption.
First and foremost, we have to understand that the wide gap and bridging between something so, one might even say boring as Web 2 to something so exciting as Web 3, it is huge, right? We're talking about concepts and terminologies, technologies that first and foremost are not only foreign and alien to Web 2, or I would even say legacy audience, but it is completely and utterly confusing. So the first thing that we did was to simplify all the languages. Instead of calling it staking pools, we call it growth charts. Instead of speaking about gas fees, right, we ensure that everybody understands that all you really need is one token, and that is Sweat. And currently, you can actually use Sweat to pay your fees on Near, and soon you'll be able to pay it on 5 other chains to begin with, and following that, many other chains through this wonderful technology of chain abstraction. So we don't also refer to the things like huddle, build, all these terminologies that might be in the degen realm, is something that we try to avoid inside of the Sweat Wallet app, because essentially we have a different audience and we have to cushion them in, while at the same time making sure that they have the ability to learn. So we do have a learn and earn section of the app, which is highly used, and we have a ton of partners coming in, and our audience around the world can learn about anything from OKX to new token launches and new projects that work in many different realms of Web3. One of the most exciting aspects about Sweat, in my opinion, is the fact that we have not mobile first, but mobile only. Right? In order to move, you don't really take out your laptop and strap it to your hip and activates the pedometer, right? You take your phone or a wearable, perhaps both, and you make sure that you're tracked. You share the pedometer data, and we're able, through the algorithm, to fraud-proof. But there are many positive implications of being mobile only for Sweat. And one of them is that, first of all, we don't have any bot activity, right? When you're on web, it's very easy to be flooded by bots, but when you are mobile, it's much, much, much harder to fake usage. And while the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, essentially the decentralization efforts of the entire project becomes very empowered through the fact that it doesn't matter whether you have one sweat or a million sweat, you have one vote in all proposals. So what does this mean? Well, up until now, we've had votes roughly on a monthly basis around governance. But what we do is we want to educate our users. We want to make sure that they feel invited into the world of Web3 without feeling intimidated. So we put out proposals, of course, community driven. So it's always coming out of the community through Discord and Telegram and through discussions online, where either there are stagnant tokens that's been sitting around in abandoned accounts. What do we do with them? Okay, we burn them, for instance. So that was 350,000 individual voters in the largest DAO vote ever made. We decided to do that, for instance. Last month, we had this minting window change that the community also suggested, and there was more than 150,000 voters in 2 weeks decided to change from 0 to 5,000 steps to mint Sweat, to 3,000 to 10,000 steps for regular users. And if you're a Sweatcoin legacy app, once again, a Sweatcoin premium user, you can actually mint from 3,000 to 20,000 steps a day. So that will, of course, reward people who move more, while at the same time, because most people actually move mostly between 0 and 3,000, so actually will reduce emissions and supply or new supply of Sweat. So what we're doing with the DAO is essentially to not only allow innovative governance, but also invite people who've been outside of crypto to take part in a more democratic and equal process.
And then how does one get involved with the DAO? Is it like you have to have the Sweat app? Do you have to have a certain amount of tokens? What's the membership like?
Yeah, it's super simple. You have to have a Sweat app, number one, Sweat wallet app. If you don't have it, go download it. That's number one. And number two, you don't have, that's one of the greatest value propositions of Sweat, is that we don't ask you for a credit card to come in, right? We don't ask you to buy tokens. We don't ask you to essentially put up capital. It's the opposite. We want you to burn your energy, your human energy. And by evaporating Sweat inside of your body, you then mint Sweat inside of your phone. And then directly, as long as you for a few days been walking, you get a few Sweat, you can take part of the DAO vote. And there's a vote section inside the app where everything is explained simply, directly. Once again, we make sure that our content is always suitable for literally every audience. We have the app available in the 6 most used languages, Arabic, Portuguese, French, English, Spanish, and so on, and Japanese as well. And this makes the experience be not only very personal, but it's a community of early adopters, if I may say so. Although we're in the millions, it's still early adopters because we are not aiming for 10 million. We're not aiming for 50 million monthly active users. We're currently at 1.5 million, 2 million monthly on-chain active users, and our goal is around 50, 100, 250, and of course that billion dollar mark is literally where we see it, because we believe, in addition to our value proposition, that we are currently, in speaking of crypto, that we're very much in the infrastructure bubble. Just like any other introduction of new technology, whether it's the radio, TV, smartphone, internet, even railroads, first wave of capital always goes into infrastructure. But then everybody realizes that there are kilometers after kilometers of railroad, but no carts, definitely no passengers to actually go into the carts, right? So that's where we come in. We are those carts. We are the dApps, right? And in order to invite millions and even billions of passengers, we need to make sure that these dApps actually have something of value to provide, not just something that is valuable, but also something useful. And that is really what we're centering around at Sweat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you guys have such a large audience. Could you talk about how you work to educate them? You talked about how you localize the app, it's in all these different languages. How do you kind of, meet people where they're at in terms of education?
Yeah, so that's one of the greatest things in the app, like I said, is the learn and earn. That's where you can invite people to learn, first of all, about the basics of crypto, Web3, but also our partners. We make sure this is also a place, of course, to monetization, where we can invite other projects to get in front of a very, very large audience and very active one, of course. So that is one part of education. Another part of education is to simplify language, is to make sure that everybody can understand what we're talking about, not to alienate them, but once again, invite them in. Make sure that they are part of an ecosystem that they don't feel threatened by. They don't feel intimidated. Guys, going into, imagine you come into crypto this year or last year, and suddenly you just see one meme coin after another. Depending on what chain you are on, essentially, I think you probably would just look at the entire industry as a big joke. And one of the beautiful things about meme coins is that it is a joke, but the industry itself is not. The technology is real. The technology allows transparency, truth, verification, ownership, sovereignty, and all of these aspects of blockchain is what we make sure that our audience is aware of, that they understand the implications of the security of their own assets, and that they are agile enough to figure out that, oh my God, if I put this much in a growth jar at 12% over a year, what happens to it? I can even see it ticking every second, just like I can see my sweat going up by moving. I understand that there's a different aspect to the crypto ecosystem beyond just getting rewarded for movement, and I think that is a really, really unique value proposition, because most projects in Web3 and crypto work with utility first, right? They try to find a utility around whatever token and make it valuable. We actually work with something that is already inherently valuable. We all understand that movement has value. We all understand that movement is good for you. We all understand that movement is something that not only makes you feel better, more energy, be more productive, better mental health, be less strain on the healthcare system, go less to the doctor, probably use your health insurance on a less frequent level. There's an entire industry around sports, wellness, nutrition, fitness, right? We're talking about an entire economy that so far is living as separate entities. What we're doing is we are understanding the power of this economy. And we understand that if you build an economy around attention over the past 20, 30 years, in the attention economy around Facebook, Google, that's now grown up to $7 trillion. We believe that movement is a far more valuable asset for us individually on an industry level, but most importantly for governments and kind of society at large. And that is our mission. That is our goal, to make sure that everybody understands that your movement has value, and it's something that you should definitely consider an asset and in the future currency.
Absolutely. And you mentioned some partnerships. Let's talk about some of the partnerships you guys have, minted with global brands and how these collaborations have kind of helped you guys push the platform's visibility and user engagement forward.
Yeah, that's a great question. First and foremost, the ecosystem's been around for 10 years. So the Web3 aspect's around 2 years. On the Web2 side of things, we have around 600 commercial partnerships, stretching from Whoop to Nike, to Puma, to any wellness or health brand you can think of. Sweatcoin has partnered up with it. Another aspect is that Sweatcoin also have established partnerships with NHS, National Health Service in the UK, which means that it's a lot more institutional on specifically pilot programs around diabetes prevention. So diabetes 2 is something that is a massive cost for governments around the world and is actually very easily preventable by movement. And it's shown that anyone who downloads the app, starts moving over the 6 months that they're actually using it. We're talking about a huge, overwhelming majority of people who essentially meet their movement goals do not develop the disease. And so those are things that have been done on the Web2 side. On the Web3 side, of course, we're exploring and tapping into huge partnerships on blockchain protocols, chain abstraction, things that we really can't talk about yet because there's a lot of moving elements. But we've gone let me see exactly how much I can say here. There are advanced negotiations with things like gyms, preventative healthcare, doctor associations, that probably a year ago would be unthinkable from a Web3 standpoint because crypto is very different from institutional, especially health aspect and regulatory side. But we have been able to work framework and to develop a framework where the Web3 and crypto side of things actually can be much more prominent, especially now that we see a different regulatory environment in the US, or potentially a different regulatory environment in the US, depending on who actually wins the election. We are definitely hearing, specifically after the debt approvals, we're definitely seeing a lot more interest from what would say legacy actors. So we're pursuing partnerships across the board: sports, wellness, health, gyms, specifically innovative gym chains that are thinking differently, more sustainable. And the third aspect of it is, of course, today we track steps. That is a universal aspect of movement that most people can tap into because a majority of people, of course, have 2 legs and can move around with them. And that is also the recommended dose from most doctors in the world is around 8 to 10,000 steps a day to stay healthy, to stay fit. And the next level of building out the movement economy, of course, needs to be to track more activities that make you sweat, that make you stay healthy. That is whether that is gym, yoga. In my personal opinion, that's my favorite is, of course, heart rate, because heart rate actually is the indicator that can show that whether you're playing football, tennis, going out for a stroll, or actually running, all of these things can be tracked and be through wearable technology. So there's a ton of partnership avenues that we're pursuing ever since I joined the team. I cannot go into more details. I probably gave you as much as I could. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil the fun.
Hey, no worries. Well, we're excited for some probably upcoming milestones. We're also probably people are wondering, hey, when are we starting to track sleep? Sweat is great, but if anything, I'm chronically underslept all the time, as well as underwalked.
Yeah, I mean the fact that now sleep is becoming very trackable and something that's increasingly popular to track, and how important it is to actually, what kind of sleep do I have? Is it irregular? Is it calm? Is it, am I disturbed when I'm sleeping? Or do I get enough hours for my, daily routine? And these are definitely internal discussions we're having inside of Sweat. But there are many other aspects of daily routines that are healthy, such as brushing your teeth. It's
For the record, I do that.
You do that. I do that. Most people do that, but do you get rewarded for doing that? Right? Then the question is, what kind of value does that have? However, sleep tracking is definitely something that we are exploring, but I think there's a bigger mountain to climb, and that is for sure the next movement validator beyond steps. And yeah, my funds would definitely go on the heart rate monitor, because this is something that, just Xiaomi Mi, the Chinese equivalent to Apple Watch, has sold more than 120 million units in the world. And that's just one. And then you have Samsung Galaxy Watch, and so on. Of course, you have Whoop, and you have many other wearable technology companies. And that is not just opening up an entirely new avenue of earning and minting sweat, but it also opens up completely new markets. And these people are often more health conscious, more physically active, and come from a different mindset, and already view movement as valuable and understand the importance of staying healthy and fit for your well-being. So I believe that that's a very, very good beginning when you tap into new communities. We have a very vibrant community as it is inside of Sweat, and we're super fortunate to have something so alive as we do. Listening to the feedback from the community, making sure that everything is, whether it's new features, new products, ideas for partnerships, whether with shoe brands, sock brands. Someone mentioned and suggested today that we should start thinking about partnering up with. Speaking with, I don't know if you can see, but these are Sweat branded shoes, actually, special edition. So there's a ton of stuff that you can do that beyond the conventional, and I think that is very, very, very important when we move forward, to always push the boundaries on what we think is possible. That there's no one who has attempted to do what we've done or what we're doing right now, which is essentially to build an entire new economy around physical activity and movement. And it might sound strange, it might sound even moronic to some people that we should even attempt, but I think that if we don't, as a society, even as a race of humans, start valuing our movement and making sure that each and every one of us see value and understand that our movement is not just beneficial to ourselves, but to our entire environment, then we're going down a very dark path. So I think that one of Sweat's greatest mission is to share light into this world and say, no, it is important to have those daily habits. It is important to stay physically active on a daily basis, right? To change your habits every day. And that is, it's a privilege to be able to work with something so illuminating.
Absolutely. I'm now fired up to go take a walk right after this podcast episode. So let's talk about where people can learn about all of the cool upcoming milestones you guys have. If they're not able to 10 token 2049, like where can they keep in touch with Sweat, get involved, download the wallet?
Yeah, that's a great question. First and foremost, sweateconomy.com is our main domain. Going to X, formerly known as Twitter, as Elon often likes to say, is at Sweat Economy. You can find all of our latest updates there, of course. We just had and concluded this week our very first Sweat token holder briefing, where we went into deep detail about what we've done over the past 6 months in the first half of the year, and what we're planning to do over the next few months in the second part of the year. It was attended by thousands, and it was a really great opportunity for myself as CMO and to give an update on what we're doing on the marketing and the kind of exposure and growth side. Of course, for Oleg, our CEO and co-founder, to give a more of an overall visionary and kind of business review. And for our brilliant head of product, Michael Brink, from South Africa, to give a very, very detailed idea on what we see going forward in the next few months in terms of product development and delivery. Well, key message for sure was the idea that beyond our mission to make movement more valuable is the fact that we are able to soon come to fruition with the vision of one wallet, one key, and one token to transact on all chains. And that is not something we can do without the support and the very, very close cooperation that we have with the Near Protocol and Ilya and his team at Near. So there's a lot of resources that you can enjoy online. The best way to do it, however, is to download the app, Sweat Wallet, opt into crypto through our movement validator Sweatcoin, and start earning for your steps, because whatever you're earning today will be more valuable tomorrow, because each and every day it takes more and more and more steps to actually mint Sweat. And that is something that we understand as we build out the movement economy. The more partners we bring in, the more sectors that we get involved, and the more actors that become an integral part of the ecosystem, the more valuable the movement will be valued, of course.
Absolutely. Well, and then Misha, thank you so much for coming on here to everyone building Web3. Let's get back to it, and let's also get our steps in for the day so we can start ordering some Sweat coins and we're not all sedentary.
Sounds great, man. Thanks. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I wish not only you and your community to, of course, go out for a walk, but also become part of an ecosystem where we build something that actually matters. We're not just chasing dreams, but we're actually making sure that everybody's staying active, everybody's becoming health conscious, and we build a more stronger and healthier you.